Okay, cool. Thank you. Well, a warm welcome to this global AI tour, and we'll be having a series of tracks over here today. We'll be having multiple action packs, which is going to be delivered on the AI services on Azure. And I'm here, Firoz Khan. I'm a Microsoft MVP on Azure, and I'm a Microsoft certified trainer as well. Ended up with a CEO of Code Sizzler organization, which is a Microsoft vendor partner firm. We do consulting and the migrations for Microsoft. We also take care of having workloads to be migrated from the other environments, like from AWS to Azure, or from on-premise to Azure environment, or let's say setting up hybrid cloud scenarios. So that's all the stuff that we do. And without wasting much time, I would just like to give you an introduction on the global AI tour that we have. The Global AI Tour is said to be another global event, which is just same like the Azure boot camp that we have. And this event is delivered across the globe, and it's going to speak about the multiple global services of, I mean, AI services that we have, like your cognitive service that you have. We'll be speaking about machine learning. We still have tracks like IoT, and Dear Azure is like one of the UG, right, a user group which is always enrolled to take up the global events that happens, like Global Azure that you have, and Microsoft 365 Office bootcamps that you have, and this global AI tour as well. And it's really a warm one to again see Dear Azure taking part of a global event. And thanks for having me as well. So here is a quick introduction about me. And yes, I have already given a touch base on these things, and I'm not new to the Dear Azure user group. It has been like multiple times that we have connected always to work around on the user group events. And you can connect me with the Twitter details which I have given here. You can either connect me even with the email address if you feel free to have some clarifications which are related to the technologies that we speak across. A special thanks to Microsoft as well, extending the wings on connecting event. I mean, global events on multiple tracks like your Azure, and especially for Azure AI is one, and you have Office 365. So it's really a great one to share knowledge and to know what's the hot updates that we have in Azure services connected to the multiple streams like Power Apps, your AI, and other things. Thank you, everyone, and thanks for your time as well, making it to be on the weekend, right? Having it to be on a pandemic situation, and thanks, Kazum, for arranging it on a weekend mode as well. Without wasting much time, I would like to stick on towards the session objective and the takeaways that you're going to take it for probably the next 45 minutes, and I'll stick to your questions by the last 10 or 15 minutes that we will be having across. So I'll be discussing about the LUIS API. We'll be making sense about how the LUIS API is gonna work to set an intent, how you can call it on an application, and we'll be working on a demo as well, which is gonna be about the implementation practice and how to implement LUIS on training for, let's say, we need to train a bot, right? And we will see how we are gonna process the intent, how we are gonna come up with the intent score to be identified, what all the considerations you should be having it on your mind as such. So here we go with LUIS. LUIS is said to be a core Azure service, your cognitive service, we call it across. The AI services has been wrapped up into one name called as cognitive service on Azure, and LUIS is said to be one of the core important thing that you have. LUIS is language understanding. It supports for multiple languages. It understands the text that you're gonna give. Let's say you can give it as a speech, or you can give it as a text that you're gonna say. You can just type it like, "Get me the flights between Chennai to Seattle." Right? I can even say that I need to get a pizza to be ordered as such. So it makes the sense of identifying the intent and the entities from the text or from the voice that you're gonna give. You should have seen that when you let's take your mobile phones, right? You just say like, "Okay, Google, let me know what are the flights which flies from Chennai to Seattle, say for example, and you'll be able to see that you get a message, right? You get a Google flights to be opened up, and you get a message on which date you're going to be identified as such. So it has been trained with the intent, and it has been trained with the entities along with the APIs. So there are three major partners. Google is one of our partner who has their own APIs, and we have Microsoft. The Microsoft APIs are well trained, and it supports for more languages. And the top reason that we stick towards Microsoft Azure is, as usual, you have the more and more number of data center regions. You can just go up with the intent to be identified, and you can set the entities as well, like flights or food, right? You can set the entities to be uttered, and this can be always added up with the recognition through your machine learning, where we can add the data sets. So the way that we communicate is going to be different, and the way that let's say a guy who is going to be from Middle East or the guy who is going to be from a Southeast would be communicating it on a different slang, and still the device or the let's say the product that you're going to design, right, which is going to be with the cognitive service with LUIS, has to identify the intent and the entities that you have. So these things have been pre-built. You no need to say that this is how a word is gonna be look like, or you no need to say that I'll be identifying the calendar or I'll be identifying the email as such. Okay, so the intent and the entities have been already pre-built. You just need to add it on your API environment, and you have to train it across. So there are supported environments where you can even still say that it's going to be on a staging or it's going to be on a production when you train it across. So this is all like the new features that the LUIS has come across. Microsoft has more and more amount of support that you get on Azure AI services when you build applications for IoT or when you build any sort of AI applications that you have. So here are the languages that you have with the pre-built. You get a full support of language for I mean the English US, and the major support is there for Chinese, French, German, all those things. And we do have the partial support which is going on as of now for Arabic, Hindi, Gujarati, Japanese, all these languages. So there are pre-built domains that Microsoft supports by default. You can just go with more covering options, like you say that you will be adding a to do, right? So these intents, whatever you find on the screen, right, the builds, the models that you have, is gonna be an inbuilt functionality that you have. You'll say that send an email to, let's say, send an email to Dear Azure team that I would not be able to attend the event, right? So that's to be where you have an intent and you're going to call some domains. You're saying that it has to open an email. So this is all where you get a custom virtual assistant at the back end. It's going to build a custom virtual assistant at the back end. And the LUIS also works with the connectivity, which is said to be with a bot framework. So a bot is that it's going to be like a chat bot, right? It's going to communicate. I hope you should have seen when you try to order a food, and when you try to communicate that the food has not been delivered, or any e-commerce applications that you use nowadays. Think about Make My Trip or something, right? You would be having a chat bot over there, and you will be communicating with the chat bot to find the status first. And still, if it's gonna be unanswered, then you will be connected towards the core team that you have. So this is exactly how the LUIS works. I mean, the recent LUIS, which has been upgraded, works on such a way. So here is how the custom virtual assistant has been built. You will be having the bot frameworks, which has been built with, let's say, user experiences and the conversational apps that it communicates with. You can check the calories that you have burned on your Apple Watch, right? Any smart watch that you're going to speak across. You can even do it with I mean, we have Microsoft Band, right? So that you can do still. You can always go with a bot framework which skills the LUIS and the cognitive service. You have a Q&A, you have chatbots, you have the speech APIs. The speech API can identify the tags, and it can say like what's gonna be the intent. Let's say I'll just say think about the Alexa API, which is similar, right? You will say, hey Alexa, turn my kitchen light to be on. So that makes sense there. And at the back end, You're using speech API, but still there should be something like LUIS, which identifies the intents and the extensions that you're gonna say, right? The entities that it's gonna add it up across. You have the pre-built domains, just same like Alexa. You can just find it on the Microsoft as well, which comes with the cognitive service, which speaks with the LUIS. You have the pre-built domains, you have the language models, you have GUI adaptive cards which are available for connectivity, and you can just say that you're going to train, you're going to build, and you're going to train the model as such. You get an integrated analytics to see, we call it as an application insight. You get an app insight to see how the application is getting performed, and the skills are open. You can come from any background, like let's say that you don't even have a coding knowledge, right? LUIS or any Azure AI service, or I could even just say Azure would not look for a good coding developer knowledge to be involved. Microsoft develops the coding environment at the backend by its own using the ARM templates, and you'll be having a C# and TypeScript support as well. You also need to know a basic essential thing to work on the LUIS, that's your bot framework skills. The bot framework has been built with the productivity and the industry and a combination of your experimental environment as well. This is all like it's gonna be on the open source. It's available with the GitHub repo. You can always reuse the skills. You can include the language models. You can go with the integration patterns to be added up. You can make the speech to be much more friendly, and the bot can communicate with the applications that you have. Think about your Cortana, right? You will speak to your Cortana asking for the email to be opened up. You can speak to the Cortana asking your File Explorer to be opened up. Ticketing solutions. So this all like few services that you get involved. And when you speak about the productivity, you're going to manage the calendar. Yeah, you're speaking about the industry where you should have seen Ford coming up with auto-driving cars inbuilt with IoT Raspberry Pi, which again helps with industry automation using Azure Cognitive Service. Experimental is something that you always do with Cortana, and you go up with the experimental valuation of this news app, the weather app, and all those things. You can just make sense with this model, right? You can just try the model which is said to be here. The overall architecture is something like this. You can just jump in with the device. Either you give a device, right? You go to the device and you can communicate with the app, or you can just say go with a web app, or you can still go with a voice. So your voice is gonna be like you try speaking towards your Cortana, right? So that's one example. So whenever you give some input, it's gonna communicate. It's gonna check with the tenant that you have with the B2C, right? Connecting your customers, and you will go with the app service to be involved at the back end. The web app would be there, of course. The language is going to be identified. I mean, LUIS is going to identify the intent and the entities that you have, and from there you will carry on towards the speech API as well. Okay, and you can monitor the logs with the app insights, and this is all going to work with a bot framework. You will be having a bot which can communicate. You will get the text-based bot that you have, and the data can be collected from a backend, which is said to be a structured SQL database that we use. So this is an overall architecture of how it works. So you can let's jump in. We can just say like, say for example, I'm gonna order a pizza, okay, and I can make sense about what's gonna be the intent and what's gonna be the entities that I need to look after over there. So here is my example address. I can say that I've ordered one large pepperoni pizza with extra cheese, and I will also add some attributes towards it. So my entities here includes the product size. I'm going to speak about the quantity, right? All those things are going to be here. And you can find here the product. Now here it's going to be pizza, right? And there are categories within the pizza that we are going to involve. So I have a pepperoni pizza. I'm also going to speak about the size here. That's another entrance that we have, large size. I'm going to say how many count that I have. You have one count over there. Now, all these entities, whatever you see here, like let's say the size, quantity, your product, all these things has to be backed up with a JSON solution. So this will be done by Azure at the backend. You will just go with the UI. You will say what's going to be the utterance that you're going to give up. You will say the entities. It's going to be simple with a product. You will say what sort of product it is. Is it going to be like a payment type that I'm going to do? I could still say I will get payment from my credit wallet for the pizza, right? I can say order type can be even like pay. I mean, what you have is cash on delivery, or you say that you get it from the credit wallet that you have, or you can even still say that the sizes that you're going to mention for the pizza, when it has to get delivered, the number it has to get delivered. Okay, so this is all like entities that you have, and the intents will be built with the JSON, which is going to work at the backend. We are not going to do this. You will just go with the UI based environment, and you're going to give up the uh, parameters that you need exactly. So with this explanation, I'll stick to the implementation practice on the LUIS. And please let me know if you have any questions until this. Okay, I will better stick to the questions for the last 15 minutes. Okay, here let's go up with a quick demo on understanding how the LUIS looks like. So let's go with LUIS.ai. It's getting loaded. So here you need to sign in with your account. You can find you have the documents. You can make sense about how the LUIS works. So this is my explanation which I was saying you. Take this order me 2 pizzas, right? Can you find the LUIS returns the values of the backend? And you can add your just any of your natural language as well. It can be like Telugu, it can be Hindi, it can be Arabic. Okay, let's click on sign in here. Okay, it's getting loaded. Let's wait. Okay, there we go. LUIS will be looking for an Azure resource to be spinned up, so which is very simple. You can find here. You can go to the Azure portal, and there you can spin up a service, okay, or any cognitive service that you have. LUIS also supports with the container environment. You can even try with that. So when you say create a resource, okay, it's getting loaded. You can just look for, just scroll down. You can find AI with machine learning, and there you can find the web app bot. You have the space API, text, all those things. You can also always search for LUIS, and that will give up the container environment, your language understanding APIs that you have. Can you find this? You have the language understanding. You have the language understanding which comes with the container environment. So this is all a backup service that Microsoft helps you out. Let's go with the LUIS. I'll say let's migrate it later, and now I'm going to create a new app. So click on create new, and you can give up a name here. So let me name it as, say for example, I'll name it as Dear Azure, and you can set up a description here as well. So Dear Azure LUIS, and it's gonna be global AI 2. And here you can find the languages which are supported. So let's go with English and click on done. There we go. So you can find a quick scenario of how it's gonna work across. Can you find this? Designing a schema is said to be the bot action. You need to say, like, if you're gonna purchase the airline tickets, you're going to say book flight, right? That's the intent. So you need to think from, from a customer's point of view on what would be the intent as such. And you also need to train the example utterance that you will come across. So let's go across here, and you can find the endpoint hits per day. You'll be getting an endpoint here once when we complete the build model. So to build this, you can just click on build here. You have the build one, and can you find this? You have the intents and the entities that you have. So here I'm gonna add the same. Let's say ordering a pizza, or let's say a travel agent, something like that. Okay. So here you can create a new intent. You can create several intents. Let's say I'm gonna create a new intent here, and I'll name this intent as it's gonna be greeting. I'm sorry. Yeah, greeting. And let's click on done. So now inside this intent, I can add my let's say the example utterance that we're gonna come up with. I can say hi. I can say hello, welcome, hey there, right? Uh, what else you use to start your communication across? Greetings. So these are all like a few things that the users use to come across, right? And if it's going to be Hindi, you need to give that on Hindi. If it's going to be Tamil again, so it depends. Like you need to train it on such a language. So we'll give up all these things. We are going to create new intents. You're going to create entities used in the intent. So once when we are done with this, you can click on just go to entities. Okay, you can select here the entities, and you can again say create a new entity. And you will give up the entity name here. Okay, so this entity will have the user's request like book the tickets or select the pictures, something like that. So let's say this entity is going to work with pastry and it's going to be a simple one. Okay, let's click on done for this. And now you can say select intents. And you can create another intent. Let me say it's going to be search pics. Okay, and I can click on done. Now inside this, I can add few things like I can say find outdoor pics, find my home pics, take a photo of me, open gallery. I can say find photos of Microsoft. I can still say show me some photos of global AI tool. So these are all your utterance that you have. So you can just add it and you can set the tags here. See, you can click here and you can say assign it towards search pics that you have, right? I'm just setting up the intent here. I'm saying that it should be on the search pics or it's going to be for the greeting that you have. You can select it here. Okay. So you can assign the intents and the intents is going to be over here. We will add the intents and once when you add the intent here, you can always again come up with, you can say that share the pic. Let's say I will go to the intent and I'll say I need this pic to be shared up with Facebook or something. I can say share pic. I can call the APIs. Let's say share this pic, right? I can say can you tweet this pic? And I can say post to Twitter as such. Excuse me. So post to Twitter. Okay, all these things have been added now, and you can also say create another intent, saying that it's gonna be order pick, right? And I can say order wallets, get money from credit card. I can say print this picture. So this is all like multiple intents that you have. You're gonna set it across. You need to work on thinking from the customer point of view. So once when you do all these things, once when you add some sample utterance, once when you add some intents to be added up, right? You can just say here it has to train as such. So click on train, and it's now going to train at the backend. We will not be doing this. This is set to be a platform as a service. It will be collecting the training data. The only thing that you need to do is that you have to ensure that you'll set a good scoring. You need to know how the utterance has been set as such. So now I have trained this. I can go to the manage. You can click on the manage here, and now you can say whether this is going to be a public endpoint or you're going to use it on the other things like connecting with the apps as such. And when you click on Azure resource, you can find it supports for the protection resource. You can add any sort of protection resource. You can click on add. You can select from Microsoft Azure subscription, any of your application, and you can go ahead. And publish settings is where you get the sentiment analysis. It gets connected with Bing spell check as well. What in case if there's going to be some spell checks when you train the model, right? I mean, when you build some intents or utterance, something like that. Versions, you can set multiple versions of the same just to improvise your understanding. And at top of these things, you also have the collaborators where you can collaborate with role-based access. You can invite the third parties as well. So now let's go to the Azure resource, and here I would say that I'm going to publish it. So you can click on publish, and you can find two things here. One is your staging environment, and the other one is going to be the production environment that you have. Staging is to ensure you're going to validate it. You're going to check whether this gets published or you need to do some dry runs again. And production is the one which is going to be a live. So let's select publish, and I'll click on publish now. And you can find here, see, we have the publish with endpoint URL, and you have the pricing. You have some example queries to be added up, and you can find this has been published at bestus.api.cognitive.microsoft.com with a Lewis, and you have the app ID over there. So here, let's say publish this environment and see the publish has been completed. When you click on the endpoints now, right, you click on list of the endpoints, and this endpoints will let you know the keys which you need to use to connect with the application. So when you click on application information, you get this app ID. You can copy this. When you build an application, you will be giving it on, let's say if it's going to be a console app, you need to give it on reviewing with app.config. So you have the application ID, and here in Azure resource, you can find the endpoint URL. And now let's test it. I can just go for test here. See, we have a type of test utterance as such. We can say, uh, let's say hi, and see it says greeting, and you get a score here 0.955. And you also have the inspect, right? And here you can find the current inspect. So we have added the top scoring intent with hi. Let's say other things, right? I was saying share, take a photo of me. So that's with share pics. Yeah, 0.9 for us intent. So this all indicates when it comes 0.5 or a top of zero point 0.5 when it comes on a data sets with any AI service or machine learning, right? It's said to be a well trained one. It indicates a good scoring for you. And if it's not getting as 0.95 or something, or let's say you get it as 0.5 or 0.4, something like that, it's again your responsibility to ensure that you train it to the best level that you have. So let's say order a pizza. See, I now get it as 0.3. I need to work on, again, this intent has to be added up. I hope you're getting it, right? Get money from my credit card. So let's say get money from credit card. See, it's again coming with the intent of order pick. So I would have added this towards, let's say, a separate intent calling it as financial, right? I can add wallet there. I can say credit card there. We need to think up across on the reassigning the intent. I can just say edit and I can go for reassigning this with other intents as well. You can find what are all the collaborations that you have. So it says that the maximum it can fit in with the scores that you can find here. So this is how you'll be using Lewis. Okay, and you can call it on the, on the further demos, further sessions that we'll be joining on. We will also work on the series where you can collaborate and you can say how you can integrate Lewis with the applications model on a container environment or on a let's say a chatbot that you're going to come up across. You also have the Lewis schemas, which includes the design patterns, right? So those things are there. You need to understand the features. You need to understand the patterns with the multiple intents and the identities that you have. So this is an overall representation of how you can set up Lewis, right? And the same you can find the other cognitive services. You can go to azure.microsoft.com, and when you click on the products, you can find AI, and here you have the cognitive services. So this cognitive service will let you know like different APIs that we have. Click on language, so you can find language understanding here. It helps you to extract meaning from unstructured text. And okay, let's just double click on this or APIs. Why we're not getting it? Looks like it's getting loaded yet. Okay, let me try refreshing. Or you can go to the products and you can search for Lewis. Can you find this? You have the language understanding. Yeah, here we go. So this is how it works on real time. You will add the intent. You will now say turn the light to be on, and at the back end it represents the JSON for you. I can use any languages like this. I can even say Tamil or English. Okay, and you can say turn the light to be off. You can connect with the IoT scenarios, right? And you need to add the natural languages. You need to add the benefits that it comes across with the pre-built connectors. Okay, so this is all that you need to make sense from the chatbot, the architectures that you have as well. Well, so that's about how we can work with the Lewis environment. I hope we have enough time. You can keep me posted if you have any questions, please. Any questions?
Yeah, Abdul, this is Rishi. So, Lewis is a standalone service in Azure.
No, it's
It's like
not a
not.
standalone.
Uh, it's not
Yeah,
like we can attach to a VNet or something.
it's there. You have it with a container on Lewis, right? It can help you with the VNet. You can even connect with a hybrid connectivity. It's supported. So you can look for language understanding with containers, and that will help you out.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, so there is quick question from mine.
Yeah, hi.
So I saw that, actually we have entered, some intents like hi, hello, hey there, and greetings, and there was one kind of exclamation mark after greetings, like greetings and exclamation mark, right? So if suppose any user enters greetings without exclamation mark, or maybe
No, the exclamatory was from my side. I was adding it up. Hello.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically our intention is, for example, any user is in basically in the chat bar. For example, if any user is entering maybe just a greetings and maybe exclamation mark, then in that case, it should answer. Basically, our chat should basically our bot should answer with maybe hey there, or maybe with a hi hello, right? So my question is, when we train data, when this data gets trained, and if suppose any user makes some kind of spelling mistake in maybe greeting, or maybe instead of putting greeting and exclamation mark, if the user enters like greetings and maybe three dots or something like that, so does it get recognized as a
Yeah.
greeting or as an introductory text?
No, it gets recognized as a greeting. Your intent that you're going to train is not like it takes the full characteristics of letters that you're going to give as such. It just takes with the
Mhm,
proximity of identification. You have pre-built models which gets identified.
mhm,
The exclamatory is just to ensure that it's going to be a vice versa, right? What in case if we are going to
mhm,
give it on a API to be connected, and when it gives it on a UI, I still need to see that the greetings comes with the exclamatory when it comes on a visual, and that's actually my intent where I gave it as with an exclamatory mark. But though you give exclamatory or you don't give it, and when you give it on a type saying that greetings, just greetings, right? It can identify it.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Any other question?
Hey, hi, this is Kalpesh. How do you build an app wherein the dynamic queries are answered from a database? Let's say if I want to pull a data using an intent, um, list all users who have ordered this type of pizza, and then I get a response. So how do I get those type of functions built?
So, what do you mean by dynamic database? Is it going to be like some other flavors of database which is going to run at,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, environment? Like,
yeah.
let's say,
Yeah. I'll give you an example. Let's say if I want to authorize a user using a PAN card, for example. So I will say, okay, give me employee ID and PAN card. If it matches, then I'll proceed. As an example. So
yeah.
how do I build that kind of intent and function?
Okay. So here, when you train the intent, right? Let me go to the dashboard here. Yes. So when you go for the build environment, you can find, see, we are going to give up the intent, and there you will see pre-built domain intent as well. So can you find this calendar and all these things? So just seem like this, we should build an intent which comes with our database. And as of now, we have a backed up database which is with Microsoft. So you need to ensure that you will take a DB backup, and it has to be connected with a SQL database. I was showing you the architecture, right? You can put up with a SQL DB, or you even get the support with the Cosmos DB which runs on Azure, and then you can connect. If it is going to be at a on-premise, right? Let's say an Oracle database or something, then again you need to work on the schema changes, and only then you can connect for the database with the LUIS APIs or any AI APIs that you have in Azure. It's not that we can just connect for the on-premise environment which runs our Oracle database and we can get it done as well. No, that's not available yet. Not only with Microsoft, but also with other other AI services that we have.
Okay. Does it query a CSV file like an Excel?
It can. Mostly we do with a CSV file or TSV file. We do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks.
Alright. Yeah. Anything else?
So, Abdul, can we configure all these things using ARM templates?
Absolutely, you can. So here I have just made it as a built one, right? You were able to see Azure resource, isn't it? So when you spin up a service, let's say for example, I will do language understanding, and I will click on create here. Still, you can find the models. I mean the same one here, but yet it can allow you to go with C prediction or authoring. Okay, And once when you spin up these things at the back end, you will get the ARM template to be spinned up. So to go with any sort of ARM template code to be retrieved, we will come with the Azure portal, and from here you can do that. I hope you're getting it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Anything else?
One question to this, Kalpesh. Here. How does this integrate with those speakers? And what type of speakers and gadgets are compatible?
Speakers in the sense, okay, you're speaking of the hardware layer. No. Microsoft here connects you with, let's say, it's going to be like device connectivities of IoT boards that we have. And there are a few peripheral devices that you can go with azure.microsoft.com and you can check for it. Like you even have versions like on the Harman and other things. So you have to check with that. I mean, I'm not good enough to work on the hardware layer as we have not done, but we have always gone up with IoT device. So we used to transfer data only with IoT device. So speakers is not like you have versionings, you have the connectors as well, the automated connectors that works across. But I haven't worked on the speakers part. I always go with the IoT device and the website or chatbots like that. So when it comes to IoT, we get the support for both Arduino and we get for the Raspberry Pi, more into the Raspberry Pi that we have with Windows 10 IoT Core OS sort of support. So that's where I have explored it. If it's going to be on a level of hardware that you need to check across, you can go with azure.microsoft.com and you look for the LUIS. There you can find the products which are supported.
Okay, so can it be done through an app on mobile?
Yeah, that's how we implement mostly. We go with a app, or you go with a let's say not a mobile, but again an app, right? Your mobile is going to be a part of your app component. It might be, let's say, it's going to be an Android app. Then we'll be using Xamarin SDKs connected with LUIS, which will help you to get the APIs to be connected. So we can do with mobile, we can do with app in the sense, let's say the Cortana app that you have, or you can even build UWP apps for Surface, Microsoft Surface Pros. Those things can be done.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else? Okay, I hope we are good enough. Kazam, do we have yourself here? Okay, there's a call out for the next session, which is said to be on the Teams bot framework that you have by Manoj. Oh, that's nice. So please make sure that you'll be joining on that. And you can also find the recordings, which will be available on the YouTube channel. Thank you.